When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink, but I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds. I love chic branding, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more.
Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of you relaxing, because now you're managing diabetes with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. You get to know your glucose levels and where it's headed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Ready to learn more about the #1 prescribed CGM in the U.S.? Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more. Based on retail sales data for patients' last filled prescription by manufacturer. Refer to the FLAIR NL4 study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care 2019. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Kroger brand products exclusively at Baker's have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose Kroger brand products, making them a true crowd pleaser. And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back. Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Welcome back to Currently with Curator, where I share my latest style obsessions, all of which you can access through my shopping community, Curator. Today, I want to introduce my latest curated set, and it is perfect for those who, like me, love good skincare routine. The Perfect and Protect set includes 3 products: an exfoliating mask by Cora Organics, my favorite, an awakening eye cream by Perricone MD, and a sheer sunscreen by Sunday Riley. Together, they're valued at $195, but you can get the set exclusively through Curator for just $79.99. But don't wait, because this set is only available for 1 week. So grab one on Curator.com, that's CURATEUR.com by December 21st, and don't forget to use code CLIMB25 to take 25% off your first purchase. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels. This show is all about celebrating the most extraordinary superwomen who will be sharing their incredible journeys to the top, all while staying glamorous. Today with me, I am very excited. We have the most, I don't even know how to describe her. I have so many ways to describe her, but she is clever, she's smart, she's witty, she's funny. She is Laura Brown. She's an incredible Australian fashion journalist, former editor-in-chief of InStyle magazine, and former executive director of Harper's Bazaar magazine. I have known her most of my career. She is as funny as she is kind, stunning, and talented. I'm so excited for all of you to hear about Laura's journey today. So let's get started. Hi, cutie. So let me first start by saying we don't have to be formal, because I can't be formal with you.
No, I don't know how to do that.
Me neither. So basically, I started climbing in heels because
you're an athlete.
Well, I'm pretty sure we know that's not true. But if you ask my dad, he would tell you up until I met boys, I actually was. But I love boys.
Boys
and quit
ruin
everything.
everything.
Yeah, they do. It's like a make or break. But what I did was I realized, very similar to you, how many extraordinary women that we're surrounded by in every field.
Correct.
In our friends circle, in our professional circles, in our fashion circle, like every circle, there's just badass women doing amazing things. But what I have found over my career is that people have asked me of any age, how on earth did you get here? How'd you become? How did you start this? How did you do it? And what I realized is that's actually always the question with anyone, because like most of the world knows you as Laura Brown, right? They'll say, "Oh, I know Laura Brown. She's amazing. Like I love her. She made fashion. Like she made it relatable. She made fashion human and not scary for me, or she's really funny. She takes humor and felt like all these things. But I bet nobody, I don't want to say nobody, but I would say most people don't know how on earth you actually became Laura Brown. I know a little. I know a little because I met you so early. I remember the first time you interviewed me. I think it was at the Mercer Hotel.
Oh my God, the Mercer, it's a time capsule.
And it was 400 years ago. So you're a proud Aussie.
I'm a proud Aussie. I have lived here, bloody hell. I've lived in America 21 years. In a triumph of strategy. I moved here a week before September 11th. But yeah, I've been here I'm Aussie. I've been here 21 years. I lived in London for a couple of years in between to do that kind of like backpacking, I wanted to go see Paris fashion shows kind of thing.
But you wanted to get out of Australia. Why?
Delusions of grandeur. Right. You just don't. But also, you've got to remember, for us ladies who perhaps did not grow up with an iPhone in our hands.
Sure.
When we didn't have access in Australia to everything we have access there now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We didn't. So I was like,
you felt far away.
So far. And I would get 2-month-old Vogues or whatever, or like fashion on like TV or whatever. So we didn't have the immediacy. So I felt very removed, and I was so desperate to get, especially it's a very fashion, like what a journalism thing. I want to get out of here. I want to go where where all the action is. And I just wanted to go, but it was more that I felt like the experiences I was having of fashion or film or creativity or arts or whatever were all diffuse because they had all come to me kind of secondhand.
Right.
So I was like, no, I want to see them with my own eyes. I want to be at the fashion show or the freaking movie or whatever the hell it was. And so I was so hungry for that. I think that's just number one, like a journalistic instinct. Like
But were you a student?
Experience.
Like, were you someone who you were a writer, right? Because I think that's very important.
I studied communications at university. So I studied journalism and I was a writer. Yeah. But it was just, I wanted to feel the culture happening like in my face in a way and get myself to where I thought it was, which it was at the time, you know what I mean? And it still is, obviously. Yes. Breaking news, New York, Paris, London, LA. Hasn't changed that much, but it has. And so I was just, couldn't think of anything else but getting to where it was, So I kind of spent, apart from after my college years, so much time with my mind here, and I would get I would work at magazines in Australia and we get a big bag of magazines from New York, like once a week. It was called Poetically in Australia.
So interesting.
Yeah, we'd call it the airbag. And so the airbag had come and they would all push each other out of the way to get the Vogues and the Details and the W's and like real top era of those too. Remember year 2000, whatever. And I would read them. And I remember sometimes I would be reading New York Magazine or something, and I would look up and I'd forget where I was. I was just completely, it was very Aussie to say that, forget where I was.
No, but
and I was just here, wherever this is, in my head. So I just knew I had to go. And I think there's a thing about being Australian.
And you're very far.
We're very far, but we're very up for stuff.
But that's what people say to me, that whenever I go to Australia or I meet friends from Australia, the first thing they say, I found it so remarkable the first time I went there, that everyone who I met said, I'm so sorry we're so far. They were so apologetic about being so far. And they would say to me, how are you enjoying your trip? I was like, I love it here. It's beautiful. The people are so kind, blah, blah, blah. But they would apologize. They would say, but we're so far from everything. We're so far. And it was this bizarre concept for me because I had always been a New Yorker, lived, in it, not realizing, well, first of all, it is far, right? It is far. But it's so special.
And that's what makes it special. And I think we used to be more apologetic than we are now because
it's different now.
More part of things now, But no, it used to be and it still is a bit oh, they're coming down. Oh, they're international. And there used to be this kind of oh, we need to validate ourselves by international people like Rachel Zoe coming down. And, I think there's a bit of that still, because again, it is distance, blessing and curse.
Yes.
It was complete, that it has mellowed a bit now because there's so many things coming out of Australia that are new and exciting and part of the world. And, but no, at that time, because this was like, when I moved here, it was 2001.
Yeah.
We had the internet, but like I still was like, but there's a thing of Australians, and it's sometimes used as a criticism, but I actually love it, the word guileless to be, and I love being guileless because you kind of then you get on the plane.
Yeah.
You're like,
and they don't mind getting on the plane. That's what I noticed. They travel everywhere.
Because we don't have the option. We have to. But like, it's sort of like, I'll go. I'll get on the plane. I've saved some money. I'll go.
Yep.
And also, like, I mean, for us, your worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out in New York, you can go back to beautiful Australia.
Right.
It's not the highest stakes coming from Australia to New York, because you can kind of go back. So you just kind of just go for it, really. And just if you're a curious cat. And I think when you're younger.
How'd you end up with Glenda though? So Glenda Bailey was the former editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar, and I met Laura probably 2005.
Oh yeah,
right?
donkeys years
roughly.
Ago. Mm-hmm. That's when I started there, 2005.
Okay. So probably around then.
Glenda I met because I think I knew someone who'd worked at Harper's Bazaar UK or something. There was someone there, one of the editors that said, Glenda, do you want to come in for a meet and greet thing? And so I did. And it was right after September. It was just funny. She said to me.
We have similar humor.
I can happily do. Well, we just have the Commonwealth in common.
Right.
We're like Brits and Aussies,
Sure.
And but I remember she was saying, it was right. Like it wasn't that long after September 11th, but business had to get on with, it was all, so it was so surreal. The whole thing was like a dream sequence. And I remember Glenda going, Laura, what are your fashion connections? And I'd be like, well, I knew all these people in London, like
Sure.
And there wasn't anything going then. So that was like an informational kind of thing. And then, and this was, a long time ago. And then 2005, I ended up there because Sarah Bailey, who was a deputy editor at the time, she called me and she was like, hello. And she said, we'd like to talk to you, And I was about to take a job at Details magazine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sorry, I'm about to go do this one.
Yep.
And I was only there. I was there for 9 months, and I didn't care for it. And but they called me again, and they said, do you want to come? And I went, yeah. So I started there Valentine's Day 2005,
My goodness.
and worked with Glenda Bailey, GB Glenda Bailey, for 11 years. And through it, it felt like so many iterations of a job. And it's so funny, just like about 2 weeks ago, I hosted a party for her collection with Peruvian Connection.
Oh, see?
And it was just like the old days, like Demi Moore came and Alan Cumming, and it was so funny. And we were like, it was like we'd been like cryogenically frozen. And then we're like,
Laura,
hi.
that's a big lesson that I like to share with people for a second. Because I've had people that worked with me for many years, 10 years, 11 years, 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah.
And they move on. And sometimes they come back. Sometimes I hire them freelance. Sometimes they consult with us 4 years later. And you keep your family close, right? You stay close. And I always like to point out in business, it's not that you leave. It's how you leave. And I imagine you would agree with that. You can't just be gracious always. Yes.
And it's actually to the youth who
really, like to everybody,
youth,
really.
It's easier. Being gracious and nice is actually the lazy man's way.
I agree.
Because I find it very stressful having a conflict.
Me too.
Of course we've had them, but I just like to, when I left, I was, because I'd been approached for InStyle. So that was very clear that I was going to go and do that. And Glenda was the first one, actually, because I'd worked with her for 11 years and we'd done incredible stuff together. She was the first one to go, no, you absolutely have to go do that. Like
Good for her.
The publishers that weren't so
of course
up for it, her bosses, but she was like, and she had the most to lose. And she was like, no, you've earned it, off you go. So I think if you just do good work and you're nice, but you're also clear, like in Glenda again, who really could have benefited by having me working with her for another 10 years. You know, she was like, no, you've earned it. So just like to earn your stripes and then really stand on top of the opportunities that you are given and that you make for yourself and the equity that you make for yourself.
Forever,
with your
by
work.
the way.
Forever.
That's the thing.
It doesn't go away.
I agree.
You know, and you just bid on it. It doesn't matter regardless of your professional situation. Look, we all got fired from InStyle in February, but everything I did and do does not disappear because I don't bloody run one of the 3 existing magazines.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. So
I agree, and I think
you stand on that work and those relationships and the little house you build.
Well, I agree with that, and I think I've known you like really, 17 years. And it's crazy because I think we've kind of come up in parallel. Like, really we have a lot of the same friends. We gravitate towards a lot of the same people.
Nice ones.
Yes, nice ones. And I think that was sort of always the thing that I found so captivating about you, because you're very different in this business. But I mean that in a way... look, I've had people move on from me in a way that was so wrong. And it wasn't that, and I remember someone going, oh, so you can't ever leave you? It's like, no, leave me. No. Everyone has to go and move on, spread their wings at some point, whatever. It's not that you do it, it's how you do it. And so I think with you, you always stood out to me. You never felt to me in any way like a fashion person, a traditional fashion person.
The one from the manual.
Correct. Yeah. You actually felt very against manual, and you felt very, I found
that's a huge compliment. Thank you. Against manual.
Well, against manual. And I think that manual is very old. And I think that manual is not what people want,
Fashion can be so old fashioned.
It can. And so can so many businesses.
And that's so many businesses. And no, it was weird though, because I would never... And now, I'm established enough, but I used to sort of strike me. I was always so confused that people would say I was so unusual, and I'd go like, "Why am I so like? Wow, is that good or bad?" But it's just because it's such a insecure business,
right?
It's so if you're trying to get a currency based on the jacket you're wearing, then that's not really the way, is it?
Right.
And also, I think when you realize, and I realized this reasonably early. I was working at Harper's Bazaar by that point, but like this industry that I thought was going to be this incredible like super highway where everybody was more connected and more glamorous and smarter and more accomplished than me. And then I realized they weren't.
Right.
And I was like, oh wait, so this is not like Mensa.
Right.
Okay. And so why would the people that are so far away from Mensa be, not the great intellects of our time, so many of them, be influencing how I feel on the day-to-day? You know what I mean? And so when you realize that you had a voice and some stature in the room, quote unquote, or you made great relationships just with your personality, then you kind of stand on that. So it's kind of, because people would say we're so unusual, and I would get good work done, or I'd build great relationships, or I'd make great friendships, or with people. It could be in fashion, or it could be like actresses in LA or whatever. It'd be like, oh God, we've not, And I think that I always just also walked into a room with a good sense of myself too, not like this, like
not
these
insecure.
People were other species from me, or better than me, or had things that I should envy,
right?
Because we know a whole lot of these people, and I love a lot of them. I envy none of them,
right?
And you know what I mean. And I think to have that realization really helps. So I think if you just, and also like different, because I came from Australia, had to come here on my own. I think that I remember being so struck because people would go, wow, you're so, and I'd be like, Jesus God, like, can I, it's lovely to have a currency to be unusual, but you were always unusual in coming up as a stylist too, because you had,
I just wanted to be nice,
and a character and things to say and a real character, and not just this sort of templatized idea of what a fashion editor should be, or what a stylist should be, or whatever. And so you're always very much yourself, you know? So I think that like, God, honestly, personality gets you so far, and enthusiasm gets you so far. And everything you have to do the work.
Kindness, actually, humility. I think the other thing I want to say about you that has always stood out, and it's not just like to stroke you. I know so many women in this industry, and I think, look, people have always said I was different because I was kind, right? And they always said like, you're such a nice, normal person, and whatever normal is, because I don't think I'm normal, but because I don't know what normal is.
Nobody does. Sis.
No, but I think the idea is you've always stood out as incredibly witty and smart, but really clever. And the reason I want to bring that up is I actually think that your success, yes, as a person, because you're so likable and you're funny and you're self-deprecating and all those things, but I actually think that like you actually have this gift for ideating on things that are completely disruptive, controversial, game-changing. I mean, even the thing that we did that still sits in frames on my wall, and still the story that people, I did a lot of photo shoots in my life. And of all the ones, I Die is the one people talk about. They reference, they try and copy it. It was controversial. It was this.
I know you were being murdered all the time.
I was being murdered by designers.
I don't think you could get away with that anymore.
No, you couldn't. You could not. Not on social media. Someone said, how could you post a picture of Brian Atwood trying to kill you with a shoe? What poor taste. I'm like, oh God, is there no humor left in fashion?
It just, because it was so camp.
Of course.
Like that was the thing. I mean, that's how you got away with it, because it was a bloody wink. You know what I mean? But I know, that's what honestly, anything that I miss about magazines, and it's not much. There's two things: corporate healthcare and photo shoots, and having having an idea and saying and
collaborating,
go along with it, and then doing it. And that's like, I mean, I think especially during COVID, we did our best work then. But I do love that. I do love going, oh my God, you know, it would be great. And then you call up someone, and then I always just I still get so excited. I have been on set for a little while, but like, everyone shows up to a place because you've had an idea, like in the shower, you know? And then you make it happen. The image comes to life in front of you. I find that the most thrilling thing. To make things.
To me with the giraffe, that was you.
Something to me with the giraffe.
That was you.
I mean, just so many. I mean, Rihanna and the shark. I did a Harper's Bazaar and the shark's mouth, and all the stuff on Insta, like Dr. Fauci and Barack Obama.
Amazing. The Barack Obama, I cried, I think, when that happened. Actually,
and the one I did, that one we did, the cover that was inspired by that Ormond Gilly picture, Girls in the Windows.
My favorite.
And that was like peak COVID, and it was always people living in a house apartment building in Brooklyn. I was trying to do something about community, because we were at risk of losing community 2 months. It was only 2 months into COVID. But no, those sort of like grand ideas that if you can pull them off, and I think that I certainly did those a lot with Glenda at Bazaar, but I still had grand ideas at Insta, a little more rooted like on the ground. Glenda's a real fantasist, and I like to take a reference and twist it. So take something that's iconographic and twist it.
I want to talk about your girls, Laura.
My girls? Do I have girls? I do have a cat. I have a girl cat back there.
No, you have an amazing girl group. You are a girl's girl, but you're tough.
I do like them.
You're tough though. So I think you obviously are a career person, right? Mm-hmm. You fall in love, you get married whenever at 47. But I feel like you've only just begun. And I do think you lean on your girls a lot. But I don't think you've ever been one to rely on the guy. To me, when I say rely, I mean, you've never ever come off to me as the girl waiting for the guy.
Oh shit! Because if I was, I would have been waiting for age. I would have been. No, when I finally met my husband Brandon, I was 41,
cutie pie.
and I used to make jokes that I would be dying alone, eaten by cats, and I wouldn't even in this scenario. I now do have a cat, but I wouldn't even have cats. They would smell my rotting corpse and they would come and eat me next door.
Laura!
So that was my scenario. I mean, it was meant to be humorous. I wasn't actually these fatalistic cat ideas. But no, I was such a self-propelled engine. I think there's something, look, New York City kind of self-possessed lady. I'm not super interested in, I've got to meet the man with the Hamptons house and
you have Malcolm.
Yeah, exactly. From Malcolm. As long as you know one person. But I never was looking for, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And I think it says everything that when I felt, it's not like one day like a gong goes off and you're like, I'm sorted. Yeah. But I think I felt that tacitly at like 40, 41 that I had my own worth. I made my own money. I was professionally established. And Brandon, was my breakfast waiter at the Sunset Tower Hotel.
The most romantic story ever, by the way.
I wasn't going for him for his vast fortune, but because...
By the way, I certainly didn't go for Roger for his fortune. He was a waiter in grad school.
Exactly. See, a waiter. Customers always right. Says everything. School. But and there's a lot of New York ladies that wouldn't go out with the waiter because they're trying to get some idea of something, which just leaves them very, very unhappy. So I feel like I had to sort of be built in myself to be able to find the one that gives me happiness in all these other spheres of my life. Because at the end of the day, I take care of myself.
Yep.
I just do. I've got my savings. I do this. I've got my whatever it is that you need in life to feel that you're okay. I have that to a degree, and so it gives you a sense of calm, and openness to everything else, to a broader life than you would feel if you don't have that. So I think met Brandon at 41, got married. We were supposed to get married in 2020, but breaking news, you wouldn't believe what happened in 2020. COVID. And so, finally got married April this year. So 47 years old, wore a pink dress. And that was
which also shocking. Really. Also shocking, by the way, Laura. I have to say, you wearing pink, and then it made sense because it's by Pier Paolo, who, another love of your life. And a love of...
But I had pockets, though. So I had a pink dress, but they had to have pockets.
It has to have pockets.
I know, so I had to be like pink but functional. And I had to be really dissuaded from taking my phone and putting it in my dress because I would have taken my phone up the aisle.
Well, let me ask you
this. Miss a minute. Yes.
Laura, so one thing that I really like to talk about in this is, and because I've had these moments in my career, you've had, there's challenges, right? There's rises, there's falls.
I've never had a challenge. What are you talking about?
Tell me what, obviously, most recently, we know, well, maybe not everybody knows, they closed In Style, which Laura
closed In Style and
crushed.
We all lost.
Can I say that? You crushed In Style.
No,
killed it. It was the best.
I did. Sorry.
And I say that in a positive. When I say killed,
No, I know. I did not actually kill it. It did indeed die, but I did not.
You made everyone talk about In Style.
In Style, we really did. I think, especially through... Look, long story short, I had been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this 20 years. It was not my master plan to stick with magazines for the rest of my life because I'm not a total idiot. So I'd been thinking sort of beyond it anyway, which does sound a bit like I was going to leave him, but I really was. And so I was probably going, I swear. I was...
Sometimes
really
life makes decisions for you, Laura.
Yeah, exactly.
I really stand by that.
Yeah, I was looking to sort of start making my way on to do my own stuff by the end of this year. And I remember the InStyle Awards last year, looking around, and it was really great and everything. It was a really, really good one.
It was amazing.
And I remember thinking that was my last. I was like, that's good. Yeah. All right. And but we all got, they shut it down and we all lost our jobs in February. And it was, so earlier, I tipped out of the nest earlier than I planned if I had planned. But that said, look, number one, to my earlier talk about the equity you earn and work you have. So I'm fully confident that the fact that InStyle kind of existed for as long as it did due to my hand 100%, and my help. 100%. So rather than the other way around, I don't get, and I urge this of any woman, anyone, whoever.
Take the accountability and be proud of it.
And don't attach your value to the place where you work. Yeah. remember the value that you give to it and you keep wherever you work. So when that happened, it was a shock. And I had to get my team placed and sort all that out. But I knew that I had other fish to fry, and I was already
you were mentally kind of half there,
because I think when you work at how much, I think, look, it's corporate life is a great life for so many people, and that's fine. I'm a good corporate girl, and I have been. But I was starting to just tire of bringing so much value in and sort of having my fate, fortunes, day, bonus, mood decided by other people. I had a lot of autonomy there, creative. Like, they didn't come near me like in terms of that way. I was very lucky, and Meredith actually were great to work for. So I was I never had any. With the work I did, no one ever bothered me at all. But I just was starting to be like, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm worth something. Yeah. And I did well with it and everything, but I was just like, I'm going to start to, want to run my own thing one day. And so I actually registered my own media company a couple of years ago and stuck it in a folder in the back room.
Of course you did. Yeah. Of course you did, just in case.
And then I was like, because I was starting, to percolate on things, and very slow boil plans. So then when this all happened, I was like, where is that binder? And the best thing that happened was if I got this crazy outpouring of DMs, messages from people
I lost my mind.
That if and it's like industry people, yes, I mean, obviously lovely, but readers from. I got one from this lady, and if I just left, I would never have gotten these, right? So if I just gone on my merry way, I wouldn't have. So this all happened. I got this message from this lady called Boo, and she was in Mississippi, and she was 60 plus, I think, and she said, "Laura, I only ever read magazines that you worked for at, and thank you for making me feel included."
Yes,
and that's the shit, ladies. That's it. I enjoyed your free handbags. That's fine. But that stuff. And so that was so unbelievable. It was like reading,
But did that help you, Laura, kind of start to think about, okay, this is my purpose? Because I had many things throughout different touch points in my career that someone I didn't know would say something to me about an impact that I had in what way that was something I had no idea could happen. And I go, that's my purpose. Hold on. I have to pivot what I thought I was doing to now do this, because this is actually my purpose now. I need to touch this, right?
But you have a community, and you bring a sense of community with you, and so do I.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a lovely thing to have and to recognize and to be reminded of in those situations.
But did you ever, were you scared? I guess my question is have you had that moment where you woke up and go, what the actual fuck just happened and I'm terrified? Or are you I'm good?
It was.
In general, at any point in life, in your career.
I think the guilelessness comes back, honestly. It comes back of okay, there's things like that. And I am, breaking news, an accomplished, quote unquote, successful lady, and so for me to feel vulnerable about healthcare, God forbid, and I was like, I can afford it, but there's those kind of skewy things with life that, you're taken care of when you work for a large company. So, and you feel vulnerable, in those moments, just those life moments. And then, for the first little bit, and I really honestly I basically took 6 months off. We went and got married, and so I kind of only pressed go recently, but it's a bit sort of the grinding of the gears to kind of work on this buffet of stuff I'm doing. But what I love about it, and even at those moments of, and honestly, I'm not being bullshitty, not so many. And I kept wondering if I would. I kept wondering if I'd have a chuck-a wobbly, as we say at home. Yeah. But if I'd go to the Paris fashion shows and I wouldn't be going to all the ones I used to do with a chuck-a wobbly. Right. Would I? And I haven't, because I'm not interested in doing all those things. No. And being with those people that I wouldn't want to hang with in their sandbox anyway. So now what I think triumphs over all of, even if you have little twitches, is the ownership you've earned over what you do. And that So now it's like, oh, if you want me to work with you, if I'm going to do a podcast or make a movie with you or design stuff or consult or do whatever I'm going to do. But you pay me.
Yeah.
And I own that.
100%.
And that, ladies, is the shit.
And it's for you, Laura. That's the thing. It's for you.
And you have to own that. And that's when you have to always that's when you got to own your shit. And I learned this a little bit because Australians are self-deprecating. And we're not I'm not a big tosser, but I have sort of in the last, since I've been in the States, just gone, no, I did do that work. And that was good work. And I deserve that thing. And I think that's still sadly hard for, and I can't, I'm not going around swinging saying, oh, pay me this. But I do I can articulate the ownership of what I've done and the pride in the work that I've done. And I really urge all women it doesn't mean you're like an ego, but it doesn't mean you're like an ego monster. It's just like, I did that and I'm proud of it.
No. It's okay to have confidence.
Yes.
It's okay to have confidence. And I actually weirdly think, Laura, funny enough, I actually think that's the thing as women that we struggle with the most. Meaning I know maybe I can count on one hand the amount of truly confident women I know. Really. Because I think a lot of what drives us very often is our insecurity. So we constantly go, do better, do more, outdo that person. You can do better. Like that's why they always say like women are overachievers and men are typically underachievers because the expectation of them is not as high, right? It's just different. And I think, but I have always found, the thing I always get asked, and I'm sure you do too, is I love fashion. I want to get into the fashion business. You to me have never seemed like that person. I actually think what motivated you, it's almost like the fashion weirdly from where I sit for you was secondary. I never felt like you were that like fashion editor in the front row that was like look number blah blah blah. Like you were sort of like you wanted to like write a story about the design. You know what I'm saying? Like
a broader story.
You came from it.
Cultural story in some way, but not to be pretentious about it either. No, certainly not. No, but just like a bigger thing about the designer and the world they live in, and the women they dress, rather than like it's all about the wide pant.
Yes, and we love a wide pant.
I adore a wide pant. It is all about a wide pant. My whole life, and most of yours. 100%. I get it. But I that is just. That's not that challenging, is it?
No.
The new coats. Okay, it's a bunch of coats.
No. I live in LA. I barely get to wear a damn coat.
It's just like all this sort of shit. All that sort of prescriptive fashion stuff is just so dumb. It's so dumb.
So Laura, what happens?
It doesn't interest me.
What happens? Like I want to know what happens with Laura Brown next, because I have a feeling you have many irons in the fire.
I actually do.
I'm aware that you probably do.
Irons in the fire and a little like, I got to say what I'm really enjoying right now is it's just sort of things coalescing, but I'm not overdoing it. I'll go and sort of bank in my days. I'll bank like some Zoom command performances all together in the one day, and then I'll go for a walk. Yeah. And then and if I don't have to do something on a Friday, I won't. Yeah. Like, so that kind of, I've been in Australia more, like all those things just live more holistically. But no, what I would say LB Media is, and what I have characterized it as an umbrella over a buffet.
I love you.
But it's just like,
but it makes sense.
LB logo.
You're touching a lot of things.
And it is, I think, but even, I guess another way to describe what I've just been thinking on is almost like everything I'm doing now would almost be like the sections of a magazine, which is there's words, there's pictures, there's podcasts, there's film, there's producing, there's design, there's aesthetics, there's PR, there's hosting, there's all of these things. And I think what it's going to come back to, and again, I've really only been at it 2 months, is a kind of community, and I'll see which way, like I'm producing a film that I ended up involved in. And so it's all of these things that people would sort of call me and go, hey, how about it? And I just really love it. I'm working on maybe a big beauty idea. Hopefully it's very slow, but who knows? But just like, I love this sort of
touching a lot of things.
I do. I like here's some shrimp and here's some chicken and here's some carrot sticks and here's like some cheese. I really I don't want to have to decide. I don't want to have to be linear. I don't want to have to describe it in a linear way, which is again still quite American. And and people go, so what are you doing? And I sort of go, and it's not even my agents. So what are you doing? I'm like, dude, it's all the things.
Yeah.
But like I never did. Even though I was in magazines, I never just did words, I just did pictures. I did the whole world, to create the whole world. So I feel like it's weird having to talk about myself in the third person. It's kind of this LB universe. Yeah. I'm very good at, and what I really love also is introducing people and connecting people so they can make beautiful things together. And so I'm going to be a producer, but also sort of talent as well a little bit. I've got manager now and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just seeing where it goes, and I'm not pushing anything, and I don't have anything to prove to anybody.
Right.
I don't get as many handbags. It's fine. I've got plenty. Like, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I also would like to make, a real success is when you buy your own handbags, isn't it? So, and you're not depending on other people's largesse. And a lot of stuff with journalism and media, it's lovely and luxurious, but it's not actually your life.
No.
Like, it's not, you get to go stay at the nice hotel for the Chanel show, and then you go home to your apartment. So I like to live my own life. And it's been great. I went to Paris for some shows just recently because I was doing this video series with my Teresa. But I would scam rides from like Samira or Christina O'Neill. But then I would get on the G-Set like taxi service and walk around. And I'm also really enjoying feeling like I'm part of a city and I'm functioning and I'm not just looking out some car window, because in between appointments with advertisers, I feel very solid, and not eroded or dependent on things that I had or thought I needed.
That's so interesting. And I want to just talk about that really quick. The thing is, it's definitely something I want to talk about because that's an incredible example with lots of takeaways about being working in corporate America versus being an entrepreneur. I haven't had a boss since I was 25. I have had no support in terms of if I don't show up, there's no one to show up for me. You know what I mean? Or healthcare, any of the things, or when I go to Europe, I'm paying for that. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm booking drivers, And so I want to bring that up because there is this real pros and cons thing to being both. And some people really can only function in that corporate because whether it's insurance, whether it's people really like that constant. Yes.
No rag
my sister.
on it. You know what I mean?
My sister. She loves it.
No rag on it at all. I mean,
it's not better or worse. It's not better or worse.
I was a good corporate girl, and I would be always the one who'd be like, can you host the funny... They'd be like, can you host the funny sweater party at Christmas? I'm like, yes, okay. But I would be, you just see them asking, exactly. I'm very on brand. But I
could see you wearing the light up deer one. Actually.
Oh God. Yeah. Just right on my boobs. Anyway. And, but and look, it's a great, especially an editorial, it can be a great life and you get your perks and your bonuses and you can, I just was like.
No, but you don't, it's not for you. It's not for you.
Me. I'm more me. My value comes from me and I want to decide what that is. And it's certainly riskier in the early term.
Oh yeah. It's riskier.
But
it's awesome.
But it's awesome. It just gives you a whole lot more to stand on. And it's the house that you built. And I am really raised by a single mom, only child in Sydney, Australia. So I'm I got on the damn plane and I'm here. So I feel solid. I feel solid and good and optimistic and also not trafficking any of those old silly behaviors and tropes of fashion that we just don't need to bother with anymore.
Can I tell you one thing that there has been such a common thread, many common threads throughout the amazing women that I've interviewed. And I have to say that the most common thread is that every woman every single one except for two were raised by a single mother.
Wow.
A working blood, sweat, and tears single mother. And I have to tell you that I'm here on the other side of it watching the most extraordinary women as products of single mothers. And as hard as it is to be a single mother, it's nice to know that your children, particularly the daughters, really, even though it may suck in the moment, like how hard it is, it really does have an impact in a good way.
And that's another thing for when, like, if you know that you grew up with not much and you just worked. I worked from when I was 14 years old. And so I think that does give you equity as well. It's just like, I got the $5,000 to get me the plane ticket to come here.
You've earned this, Laura.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, not kind of.
And so I feel like that everyone does. And just it's so important to remind yourself of that, whether you've got 3 kids and a mom and pop with a
doesn't matter
white picket fence, or moms or dads or whatever it is, or whichever way you came out into the world, just
do the work.
Do the work and believe in yourself, and then create something you can stand on. Then you create something else, and you can just stand a little bit higher.
Can you give a kiss to your gorgeous husband and your cat?
I will. The cats. Oh my God.
It's the time in the show where I answer 2 listener questions. So let's see what we have today. Okay, first question. Do you think long distance relationships can work? My boyfriend is in New York, but I was offered a job in Los Angeles. Okay, that's a really good question. And I actually don't think I've ever been asked that question. And to be very honest, my feeling with that is that I believe it can work if you've already been together for a long time and have established a really solid, trusting relationship. And I say that because Roger and I lived apart for over a year. When I moved to California, I moved a year before he did, or a little more, to see if I liked it, to see if he should join me. His company was in Florida and he couldn't move yet. And we really didn't struggle. We never went more than 2 weeks without seeing each other. And I will say, for some of my friends, especially ones that have a partner that's in the industry and travels a lot, it's almost like their relationship kind of works better for some people to get to miss their significant other. It keeps it exciting. But I do think that if you're starting a new relationship, it actually would be very challenging, because I don't think that the trust is fully built yet. And I think that one of the biggest issues that I see in newer relationships is an inability to trust each other when they're not together. So it's not that I don't think it can work. I just think it would be really challenging if you didn't already have a really strong foundation. But, worth a shot. You never know where you're going to find love, right? Okay, next question. What 3 qualities do you think someone needs to be a successful entrepreneur? There's about 20. About 20 qualities you need. No, I'm just kidding. I think to be a successful entrepreneur, the first and foremost, you have to be so incredibly driven. You have to be willing to keep your eye on the ball and just keep looking forward and believe so much in what you're doing that you could sell it to anyone, and that you believe in it, because, if you don't believe in what you're doing, you can't sell it and you can't succeed at it. I actually really believe that. But I think you need to have some grit. I think you need to have some real thick skin and a real ability to accept challenges and failures and know that you learn from them to help you win. And I think to also celebrate the win. So I think you have to have an ability to be flexible and nimble, and also you have to be a boss. You can't look to people to make decisions for you. You have to be a real decision maker and be okay with making the final decision. Be extremely driven and dedicated, a really hard worker, have very thick skin, and I would say be very decisive and be a leader first and foremost. You have to be able to lead people with positivity and strength. You can't be a negative person, because no one will want to work for you and follow you if you're negative. Okay, you guys, great questions this week. Don't forget to submit your questions for next week's episode. All you have to do is DM us your questions to @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram, and I just might answer your question. I mean, really, how could you not fall in love with Laura? I mean, the fact that she left Australia and moved to New York proves her work ethic, how dedicated she is, and how ambitious she is, because Australia, as we all know, is so incredibly far. It's just so admirable because she didn't do the sort of traditional, path into fashion, which I don't know what is traditional, but a lot of people, I think, go to school, they major in fashion merchandising, they go to fashion school, then they become designers, or then they become fashion editors. And I think with Laura, as I said in our discussion, she has always stood out to me because she had so much humor about her approach to the industry, which very often is lacking in humor. And I think everyone takes themselves very seriously. And I think, I'm definitely self-deprecating. I think Laura has this wit, humor, and sort of very clever sensibility about her that just, makes you fall in love with her and makes you want to read the stories she comes up with. And, having been someone that she has featured as the subject of her stories or styled her ideas and bringing them to life. The story you may have seen that I did with Demi Moore and a giraffe on the beach here in California many years ago. And then, the I Die story we did with me and Marc Jacobs and Michael Kors. And, I just think she goes above and beyond to make fashion really groundbreaking and actually funny and have depth and, just really have the rest of the world really look at fashion in a different light, which I've always appreciated. So thank you so much for listening to Laura's story. I had so much fun. This is one of my favorite episodes. I know I say that often, but I think just digging into Laura's life and really hearing what she's going to do next. And I know that she's going to continue to have great impact on the world, the fashion world, and the entertainment business in so many ways. So thank you so much for listening to Climbing in Heels. And don't forget to write a review wherever you get your podcasts. I love to read them. And while you're at it, follow me on @RachelZoe and @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram for more updates on upcoming guests, episodes, and all things Curator. I'll talk to you next week. Mwah.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Kroger brand products have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose Kroger brand products, making them a true crowd pleaser. And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back. Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
There are some things that are too good to keep a secret. Like how your Amex Platinum card helps you have the perfect trip. I'd like to check into the Centurion Lounge. Or how it seems like you always get those hard-to-snag tables. Ooh, yum. And how you get the most out of select can't-miss events. With access to the Centurion Lounge, Resi Priority Notified, and Amex card member benefits at select events, you'll have to share. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex.